thank you, Matthew, for inviting me for this question and answer session. So it's also great to meet all the teachers. Maybe some of you are already a teacher joining today. My name is Pyo Witong, and I have just completed my master degree in TESOL in the UK, and now I'm also actually in kind of hunting teaching jobs in the UK now. So, but Steve, I could manage to get a job as an ESOL lecturer role in one of the colleges in the UK. So I hope I will be able to show some of the process I have taken in order to get a job here in the UK. Thank you.
Thank you, Pyo Witong. So hi everybody, and I'm Thunai, and my background is in teaching English. I finished my master's in educational technology and teaching English, and currently I'm working for the University of Leeds, but not in English language teaching capacity. I'm working as an digital education related role. But previously, I taught academic English in Manchester in a school called Into Manchester. And I also worked as an EFL teacher for International House in Manchester for a short time. So today's webinar is about having Q&A sessions and also tell you a bit about different teaching roles in the UK. I'm gonna share screen to talk about different teaching roles in the UK. So when we talk about teaching roles in the UK, we've got different roles. The first one is teaching English at schools. Another one is EFL, teacher in language schools. And then EAP, teaching roles in foundation, colleges and universities. And then lecturer roles in linguistics, TESOL, etc. Then ESOL lecturers in further education. So basically, there are 5 different roles that are available in the UK that we know of. So now, if you think about teaching English at school, somebody has already mentioned DBS. For DBS, if you work with children, you need it for all the roles. But for teaching English at schools, you'll need a degree called PGCE, Postgraduate Certificate in Education, or PGDE plus QTS, which is Qualified Teacher Status. Yeah, that's for working for schools. And of course, DBS, since it will be for, you might be working with children. So now for EFL teacher in language schools, it's varied. But basically what they ask for is like CELTA or Trinity certificate. Here, the key thing is those certificates you have done have to include teaching practices. Say you might have done, yes. So say you might have done, I don't know, 120-hour TEFL certificate or LTTC diploma or something like that. For them, the course did not require you to do the teaching practices and assessed teaching practices. So the key thing here is assessed teaching practices. spelling. Assessed TPs. So you'll need assessed TPs for that. So that's why the other certificates, they may not accept that. So you will need these or MA, TESOL, things like that. Yeah. For EAP role, similar to this one, EFL role. Lecturer roles, you'll also need PhD plus publication and plus what else do we need, CRPOA?
As far as I'm concerned, I think we also need experiences of teaching in higher education sectors.
Yeah. For ESOL, CRPOA, would you mind telling us a little bit about it? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, teacher. For ESOL lecturer in further education, basically, so we need similar. So they might ask for kind of certificate that involves the assessed observations of predicate teaching with students. So it can be CELTA, or it is not just CELTA or Trinity certificate. It can be any other, maybe diploma in TESOL. So it's a little bit flexible. So, but we need to prove them that our certificate involves predicate teaching with observations by the assessors, and a degree. It can be a bachelor degree or a master degree. But it's just for kind of temporary or maybe part-time teaching. But if you want to work maybe in a permanent role position, so we also need extra certificate. They call it DET, diploma in, I think, DET or DET and CET, diploma in education training. Yeah, DET and CET. But so the nature of DET and CET is, so basically, so firstly, so they hire you as an ESOL lecturer in a college, and then while we are working there, we can get those degrees. So we might have to do some assignments, and we have to do some practical teaching, and so it's not an advanced qualification we have to have in advance, but it's a necessary qualification if you want to work for long term in the FE further education sector.
So you might say in practice qualifications. Can you say?
Maybe like this. Yeah.
So I'll call it in practice qualification, teachers in practice. Qualifications. Okay. Now, for PGCE, since we both are not in that program, or we did the courses, so we might not be able to tell you based on our experience, but we can share what we know from what we have read. So for this teaching English at schools, I think Scienncom has already asked that question about visa. So for this kind of jobs, it might be in skilled worker. You might get skilled worker visa. Yeah, possible to get skilled. Okay, skilled worker visa. Now, the challenge is to do PGCE, you'll have to have done some IGCSE.
Yeah.
So this is the basic IGCSE. This is a basic requirement to do the postgraduate IGCSE plus bachelor's degree. So this is what they need at least IGCSE plus bachelor's degree. So it is a year program, a year, or it could be 2 years program, depending on where and how. Then you have to find jobs in schools. Find jobs in schools. And if you have an offer letters, you might be able to apply for a skilled worker visa. Yeah, Pui, do you have any other information to add to this category?
Thank you, teacher. I think, yeah, so that will be the challenge for us, because we need IGCSE. Basically, most teachers, including me, we came from the kind of traditional school background. So if you have study in terms of international schools, then maybe you might get that qualification or IGCSE. But so they are in high demand. Secondary schools and primary school teachers are in high demand. So if you have got that qualification, it will be easier to get that job, and they sponsor the skilled worker visa. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's what I know about teaching in secondary and primary schools. Yeah,
That's okay. I'll just add more information. Primary and secondary schools.
yeah.
Now, you might ask why the jobs are in high demand. It is because of the demanding nature of the jobs. A lot of people don't want to be teachers in primary and secondary schools, especially in the UK, because of high demand. And not high demand, sorry, more like the work demand is high. And terms of salary wise, compared to other jobs, the salary could be a bit, depending on your needs, it could be a bit, it's not as attractive as other types of jobs.
Yeah. But if the problem would be just the visa, if you have got a visa, so you can work as an assistant teacher in those schools, or maybe supplying teacher. Although they usually say we need that kind of qualification, if you could, sometimes if they like, so they usually give you to be a main teacher role. So it's a long-term process. So you can start by working as an assistant or supplying teacher, and in long term, if they like you, so you might be able to work as a main subject teacher there. But to be able to do that, we need visa.
Now, for other types of job, for EFL teachers in language schools, they may not sponsor you for a visa. So they may not sponsor you for visa. And if you have a visa already, and those qualifications, you can apply for jobs easily. But the trick here is, the challenge here, with this is mostly temporary contract. So the chance of getting permanent full-time job might be a bit challenging for EFL teachers' job in language schools. So it is possible to get a job, but you might get a contract called 0-hour contract, which means you get paid for the hours you teach. Yeah. For EAP teaching roles, it's a bit better salary, compared to EFL teachers. But for that, you might need more qualifications like masters, plus these CELTA, Delta, or Trinity. Again, lecturer role, similar, better salary, but it will be highly competitive. And in terms of visa, sponsorship, you'll need to get permanent or something like that to get visa sponsorship, or your band, your pay grade should be a bit higher to get sponsorship.
Yeah.
For ESOL, I think CRPOE has talked a little bit about it.
Okay.
Do you have any
for-
other things to add? Yes.
Yeah. So before we go to ESOL, Matthew, can you tell me a little bit more about EAP teaching roles, because you have done as an EAP instructor in that role. So about qualifications in that role, maybe.
So that, yeah, for EAP teachers, qualifications.
For example, I have got a master, but I haven't got CELTA or Trinity certificate. So is it possible to get EAP role?
So for that, let's look at the job advertisement. I will show you the job advertisement of an EAP role. Then we can see what they ask. Yeah. This is an example of like an EAP. They call it pre-sessional tutor, language and study skills. Now here there are two types, pre-sessional and in-sessional. Pre-sessional mean it's like summer. It's kind of like summer stuff. You will see here fixed term, which means is not 1 year, 2 years contract. It's like 3 or 4 months, depending on the schools. Yeah. So this is at the University of York, as you can see. So now let's look at skills, experience, and qualifications needed. So here you will need like Cambridge CELTA, Trinity, or PGCE with ELT. Yeah. So that's what they will ask. But here, they might not ask you masters yet as well, as you can see. But you will have to have experience.
Yeah, that's what they ask for, experiences. So is it possible to get kind of visa sponsorship for that role, Matthew?
So for this one, as far as I'm aware of,
yeah,
they don't give you visa sponsorship. So mostly say you are a graduate, then people now applying for a visa called graduate route visa.
Yeah.
Or PSW or something like that. So graduate route visa. So if you have it, then it's fine. But they might not, they won't give you visa sponsorship, as far as I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people apply for it. So this is one example. Yeah. Another one is from Westminster Adults. This is ESOL. This is part-time EFL. So here, okay. This is with University of Manchester. Pre-sessional EAP tutors. So let's look at the requirements here. Yeah, essential skills and experience. So in most of the jobs here in the UK, or even in Myanmar, I think, or in other parts of the world, they have two types of skills that you need: essential skills or desirable. So two types. So essential means you must have it to be able to be shortlisted even. Desirable is like, it's nice to have, but it's fine. So here you'll see that they always ask you like CELTA, Trinity, PGCE with TESOL. Yeah. And here you might not see bachelor, but now desirable here, EAP experience, again, Delta may be desirable, or masters equivalent. Masters in TESOL, EAP applied linguistics, or Trinity Cert PT. Or TEAP course. Now, TEAP is teaching English for academic purposes course.
Yeah.
So TEAP course. And okay, Saikam will try to answer the question in a minute as well. So these are just some examples, right? So what we have shown you is, okay, here are the things that you will need to do or to have. Yeah. So basically, you still need CELTA or Trinity Cert TESOL for essential. Yeah.
Yeah, these are essentials.
And it's nice to have desirable, because when they shortlist you, they will look at all the 100 applicants, for example, and they will see, okay, this guy has a master's, then it might be up in the list. or down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes as well, you just apply, even though you haven't met all the skills and experience, but you can try. But it's good
Yeah.
to have these. That's what I think. So for the job I did is into Manchester. So my background, like I've said, I've got CELTA and the Delta and Masters when I apply for those roles. And I don't have to be worried about my visa, because right now I'm on a visa called family visa or spouse visa, because my husband is Irish. If you listen to Tea Leaf English, you sometimes you'll hear him. So he was a teacher in Myanmar as well. So for me, I don't have to think about visa.
Yeah.
So I can apply for any jobs. But the thing is, it's very competitive. So a lot of people apply for different roles. So you really have to be prepared, and then you be ready to get rejected. So I had a problem accepting rejections because I didn't used to be rejected. But
Yeah.
so be resilient. Yeah. You just smile. If you don't get it, okay, next time. So be prepared for that, because
Yeah.
in the beginning I had a hard time.
Even if we have qualifications, we might have to compete with them. One thing they always ask for is they only want a person who has already got experiences of teaching, and that's another problem. So okay, so for that, I think what we can do is so usually they also call teaching job, especially for summer courses. For summer courses, they need many teachers. So it's not that competitive for that roles. So how can we get experiences? We can start by teaching in summer courses if you are already in the UK. So so you can apply for teaching positions in summer courses, and you can get experiences of teaching. Then you can present your experiences in your full-time job applications. But is it possible to get a visa in long term for EAP position? Let's see. What do you think?
Yeah, so I like your idea about getting.
Yeah.
So our tips were so the first tips,
Yeah.
is get experience in summer schools if you are in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, now there are a lot of people, I think, outside of UK as well. So we'll talk about that in a minute. If we are outside of UK, what can we do? Yeah. So for EAP, okay, how to get sponsorship from EAP teaching roles. So now let's talk about maybe skilled worker visa requirement a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
E-sponsorship, right? So that's the thing. So it's not about EAP or thing. It's more like, can you get a sponsorship from
Yeah.
work? Yeah.
I think that's because people outside the UK, they might want to know that we need that sponsorship visa to work. So they might be more interested in that too.
So if you apply outside of the UK, right? I'm not saying it is not possible at all. It might be a bit hard because you need to meet the required salary. Yeah, meet the required salary set by the government. So that's the key there. So the government have this salary amount that you need to meet.
Yeah.
And right now, currently, the rule has changed a little bit. And so we need to consider that. For that, right now, I don't have the information on the top of my head, but you can look at visa requirement website. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as I know, the range could be from.
It just changed in December. Yeah.
Yeah, so 28. Again, this might be wrong, yeah? So please check from 28 pounds per year annually.
I think I can also so we can provide a link to check whether so we can find there which jobs provide visa sponsorship. And I think for teaching in secondary and maybe further education, so we got an exemption amount in terms of that amount, but I'm not sure about the language schools and teaching in higher education would be fine, EAP position. But for teaching in secondary schools, they've got an exemption, so we don't need to worry about the amount for secondary and primary schools. But say so they are quite difficult to get that job.
Yeah. So skilled worker visa, that's the thing. So EAP. So if you know anybody who outside of the UK apply and get a teaching job, let us know as well, because we want to know how. Because as far as right now, as far as we know it is kind of better to be in the UK a little bit for teaching roles, yeah, to get the jobs in the UK. Would you agree that, or do you have any other ideas? Yeah, Piowi?
Yeah, I would totally agree that, because even in the UK, it's quite difficult to get a full-time job. As we can see, we need lots of qualifications, teaching qualifications, and then the academic degrees. So it's quite competitive. And the worst thing is we need to have experiences. So, for example, in my first job interview, they asked me, do you have teaching experiences? I said, yeah, of course, I have 5 years of teaching experiences, but they said it's not in the UK. So we have to convince them that, how can we transfer these experiences? So they want experiences teaching in the UK. So that's why our tip number one, get experience in summer school would be for those who are in the UK to get it teaching experiences fast. Yeah, but for those who are applying outside the UK, one possible option will be you need to have experiences of maybe studying or teaching in an international school. If you are familiar with GCSE, because they need GCSE level 4, and if you got sorry, what's the teaching qualifications, then so you can think of applying for working in secondary school. So to get it,
Sorry,
if you maybe, yeah. So if I'm not sure about that, but if we go, we can also apply for the qualifying teaching status QTS from other countries, but our country is not in that list. But still, if you have got degrees, kind of special qualifications, so you can get QTS status, which is called qualifying teaching status outside the UK. And if you have got QTS, then it's easy to get a job, to apply for a job. So you can check about getting QTS. Also, let me send Matthew the link to know more about QTS if you are interested in teaching in secondary school.
So outside of the UK, yes.
Yeah, outside the UK. And another option would be to work at a university as a lecturer role, right? But it will be very difficult. So what people usually do is, so that's why they usually applying for a master degree. They study here, and while they are studying, they try to get certificates they need and get practical teaching experiences, and then they try to so we have time to apply for and to manage a job for 2 years after the master degree. So maybe that will be the possible option. What do you think, Matthew?
Yeah, so I want to say things like, yes, you can just apply, do it, you know.
Yeah.
Everything will be fine. I want to say that, but unfortunately, I'd rather tell the bitter truth than
Yeah. Yeah.
giving false hope and thinking of the future. So to me, the best way maybe is to, like you said, get a master's degree. And if you think it will be expensive to do CELTA, Delta, or Trinity related certificates, just do now in your country or in Myanmar or in I don't know, Bangkok or in Asian countries. Then
Yeah.
try to apply for a master's degree in the UK. So do the master's degree in the UK, get 2 years visa, and then within 2 years, try to get jobs and also full-time and EAP related role. So that would be
Yeah.
one good option, but it will be expensive, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
that's one option. And another one is doing the PGC, like you said, because that would be a better option to get visa and the job. So do
Yeah.
PGC, IGCSE, PGCSE, get the visa and work in the UK. So right
Yeah.
now I can see two main options there,
Yeah.
as you said. And the final option is if you can, but then even the PhD, right? If the PhD is from universities with low ranking, then it might be hard to get lecturer job in the UK as well.
Yeah. So I've got one question from the participant.
Yes.
So I think another country 5-year teaching is okay. He or she wants to know about the summer school, right? Yeah, for summer school, so summer school is usually in the term break. So usually it's in June, July, and August because schools and colleges usually start in September. So now they are in high demand of teachers for summer schools. So you can find it from the link in the chat, jobs.ac.uk. And that where we can usually find summer school teaching jobs.
Yes, thank you. And also another link is TEFL.com. So you can here see
Okay.
EFL teacher position, for example, United Kingdom, RASME, residential, non-residential position. So for those things, if you have masters, is enough to depending on the schools, you might be able to get the job without CELTA or Delta. Yeah. But the thing is, I think you asked about visa situation. Oh, no. Oh, just ask the information. Sorry.
Yeah.
My whole undergraduate MA in the UK. Yep.
And CSI also asked about job application visa. What kind of visa can we get if we apply outside the UK?
I think it will be skilled worker visa.
Yeah, skilled worker visa is the only option for us.
So you can check when you look at jobs. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 is to find whether they provide visa sponsorship. Some jobs specifically mentioned no visa sponsorship. So you need to look at the job description and see, okay, visa sponsorship available or things like that.
Yeah.
My spelling is not correct. Sponsorship. Really.
I think it's correct. So I sent a link in the chat. So we can filter in that link. We can filter the if we want to know only visa sponsorship job. We can click on visa sponsorship job, teaching job, and then we can find the jobs that offer visa sponsorship. Yeah.
Is it here? Can you see the screen or no? Click.
It's in the chat. I sent it in the chat, Matthew.
I have opened it to show now. So let's
Oh, okay.
here. So where do I now click then to?
Okay. Let me see. Visa sponsorship job.
Do you want to share a screen?
Okay. Okay. So click. You can. So it's in the left corner. Of jobs. Can you see jobs? If we click on jobs, and then we can filter visa sponsorship in the left corner. Yes.
Then apply filters.
Yeah. Here we can apply, for example, a teacher.
Yeah. Yep. Skilled workers. Here, teacher of English. Skilled worker visa can be sponsored.
Yeah. They usually sponsor visa.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So learning support assistance. Yeah. So another option is, if you can. So right now, on top of studying and becoming an English teachers, yeah, think of like SEN, like for example, special needs.
Yeah.
Because those are in demand as well. Special needs, and also some IT like computing. If you have some background with computer science and things like that, and like teacher of science, yeah, or maths. So it is possible to get visa sponsorship.
Yeah, exactly.
But that, yeah, you have to calculate. For example, PGCE, how much is it? But to get PGCE, IGCSE, how much would you have to spend to become a teacher?
Yeah.
So it is possible to get skilled worker visa. Another option people do is they come here, get the visa, not visa, sorry, PGCE, QTS, and then they go to international schools in, I don't know, Dubai or Middle Eastern countries because the salary better. And so that's another option that people do.
Frankly, honestly, it's as we know, UK is a kind of factory that produce teachers, English teachers. So it's really competitive to get. So, but they are in high demand of subject teachers, not just English. For example, physics, what else? Other languages, not Myanmar, Burmese, other languages, mathematics. So if you are interested in that role, so they are in high demand, and they usually provide, I think, set amount, a kind of relocation funding or things like that. You can even get that amount because they are in high demand. But frankly, for English language teaching jobs, we can get English language teaching job, but visa would be a problem for that. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So the challenge would be getting visas.
Yeah.
And getting permanent contract. So that would be the two main challenges we need to consider.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a possible option to get a job. It's an ESOL. So I can also talk a little bit more about that. I think okay, so we have talked about teaching in schools and EFN, English language teaching in language schools, and EAP. EAP is also in the higher education sectors. And then the lecturer's roles. And the last one will be ESOL lecturer in further education. Further education, usually, so let's say working in colleges. So these colleges also have got courses, ESOL courses for students from different countries. Usually they can be migrant workers, or maybe refugees. So these courses are also in demand of ESOL lecturer roles, but it's easy to get. It might be easy to get ESOL lecturer role in terms of part-time teaching, but it's difficult to get a permanent role. So, but compare with other teachings, other positions, so their qualifications are flexible. As we can see, So we need a teaching qualification, but that teaching qualification is flexible to start a part-time teaching position. And if you start to work as a part-time, and if you find it interesting, and if they like you, so you might have a chance to get a permanent position in that role. If you got a permanent position, then they will sponsor you a visa to work in that sector. So that would be another option to for you to think if you are interested in teaching. So basically, is teaching English language and also the functional skills in colleges. So you might also be interested in that role. Functional skills, yeah. They are also in high demand to start to work as a part-time position. Then maybe we couldn't say. So if you if they like you, so you can get a permanent position.
Yes, so yeah, Teacher Mei-Miu, I think you are, yes. One thing about ESOL, I'm currently working. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And okay, so I think we cover almost all the positions, all kinds of jobs.
I think we can talk about lecturer role. Maybe Teacher Mei-Miu also asked, like, TESOL lecturer role. How do I start the process of journal publication? So for that, I think CRPO, you can answer about process of journal publication. I will talk about higher education teaching sector.
Yeah.
So for the lecturer's roles, depending on, say, for example, one of my lecturers from my MA-TESOL course, she didn't get the PhD, but she's got lots of other publications and she's got lots of teaching experience publications. So she was a lecturer. But other people, like we've mentioned, I think you need PhD at least. And publications and teaching experience. And also one thing that I need to include is thing called, they call it PG CAP or rather HEA, higher education.
Oh yeah, HEA, yeah, higher education. HEA, higher framework. They have got a framework, right?
Yes.
HEA member. We have. So if you are a member of that thing.
Yeah, HEA member. Of they might call it PG CAP, postgraduate. It is for teaching higher education certificate, let's call it.
Yeah.
Teaching in higher education certificate.
I think what I learned.
Yes. Yeah,
what I learned when I'm trying to search for different jobs roles, study from secondary school teachers to higher educations, they've got their own qualifications. So kind of general qualifications. For example, for secondary school, we need PGCE and QTS, qualified teacher status. And same with further education, we need DET. These are specific qualifications. It's not about English language teaching. It's also about teaching, being teacher, study from secondary to higher education. For higher education, so we also need to meet the higher education qualification framework. So it means we need to be a member of HEA. To be a member, we need to do more qualifications, but these are kind of in-service qualifications, so we can do them while we are teaching in that sector. So in some university, some of the lecturers haven't got PhD, but they are such kind of member. So they have got the qualifications they need for that teaching roles in the UK. That's why they can be the lecturer. But for us, the possible option for us would be first to get a PhD. And while we are trying to manage to get a PhD, or maybe before we do a PhD, if we got a master, so we can try to write academic articles and get teaching experiences in some maybe Asian countries, for example, like teaching in Thailand or Vietnam, or so in the higher education sector. Because if we got a master degree from the UK, then it's possible to get a teaching job in the higher education sector in some other Asian countries. It's also possible. It depends on your how experienced you are and how you present yourself in the interviews or the job application. But so we need to get at least master degree, and then we need to get experiences of teaching in higher education. While we are doing that, we need to publish academic papers. And I think we need PhD, even though we have that to work in the UK higher education sector, we would need PhD. And even if you have a PhD, there are some of my colleagues who have got a PhD, but they are still trying to get a proper position in higher education sectors. So it's also challenging. But if you could manage to get one, it will be easier for you. If you got one, then you can, it's easier to get similar positions in different universities, I think. So it's a process. It's a long process, but if you're interested in it, it's worth trying to do it. Yeah, that's what I learned. I'm also still trying to research what I need to be a teacher like this, because I also want to work in the higher education sector. But for now, we have to do
What's best
to get money, yeah.
Yes.
And to get experiences, yeah.
So I know you might think, oh my God, so many things to do.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's why the reason why we title our title is becoming.
Yeah.
So it is not a end, like this is the goal, it's the process. So becoming the process. So how do we manage that process along the way? Because even right now you might wonder, oh my God, so many things. So, but if you want it, there are ways. You just have to break it down. So break down the tasks. You've got the big task.
Yeah.
What are the little tasks you need to do along the way? So I really like the way you have mentioned CRPOA about, okay, get the masters. While doing that, make sure you can write and publish academic papers.
Yeah.
Then apply, get the PhD. And then if you don't get the job straight away in the UK, work in Thailand or other universities outside of the UK. Then have experience. Also, what I noticed is they also ask your background in funding. Do you have experience applying for funding for the projects? Have you been successful in those projects?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they also ask that as well. If you have applied for funding and if you have got the grant, if you have managed the grant, so you need to have experience in applying for projects, writing the application forms, submitting it, then conducting the research, and then publishing. So your project, you have to show successful project management and implementation skills.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Yeah, maybe when we become a lecturer, then we have to do lots of funding applications.
Yeah, so because research, if you it depends on the university. Say University of Manchester, for example, is research focused. So you might have to show those things as well. Whereas Manchester Metropolitan University, they may focus on teaching more. So they want to focus on teaching. So it depends on the university you apply for as well.
Yeah. Please ask any questions you want. If you don't want to show your question, you can send in a private chat.
Yes.
Feel free to ask the questions, because it's a quite wide range of qualifications and teaching roles. So it might not be specific to your needs. So you need to ask questions to know what you want to know. Because we talked a lot about studying from secondary school to higher educations, and some are not practical for us. So we are also trying to learn what do we need for these roles. So it might not be practical. Some of the practical for you. So please feel free to ask questions. Management roles in education.
Do you mean in public schools again or in general? One thing I know is, say, for example, PGC or PGDE, it is possible to be a teacher, then go into director role or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in EFL setting, EFL schools, they have these roles called Director of Studies, DOS, or Assistant Director of Studies. So there are roles like that. But for them, again, you might need experience in like admin related tasks and roles as well.
Yeah. Maybe the best way to start would be the project manager.
Yes.
I think for example, teacher May Myo, so you're doing Master of Education. So as part of your degree, it might involve kind of project management specialization subjects. And then if you finish your degree, you might consider applying project management in education sectors, maybe in non-government organizations, or maybe even in the British Council. That's it, right? There are some positions like this.
Yeah. So you may need some business related, and project management skills, yeah. Okay, yes, education management leadership, yeah.
I think that's a relevant qualifications for you. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
So for MED, it will be £24,300 full time. And depending on the school, you can pay 3 times, say for example, but to pay for 3 times, the bank account has to be linked to the uni account. It's called direct debit. So you can pay maybe 2 times, 3 times. You don't have to pay 24,300 straight away. You can pay 3 times. But the bank account has to be linked to the UK to the school account. So you have to put your bank account in the school account to be able to pay the fee 3 times. Yeah. So there's a way you can pay, like, how do you call it? Installment. Yeah.
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 So that's about the fee, and we've got one more questions. So he wants to know about the diploma in TESOL and MA TESOL. Is it useful to have those qualifications to work in the UK or outside UK?
Again, when we say dip in TESOL, what diploma in TESOL? The first question is does it include assessed observation? When I say assessed, it's not just teaching practice. It has to be assessed and put down as marks or something like that. So assessed by assessor. So you've got diploma in ELT, so it's maybe Delta or Trinity diploma. You've got it.
Yeah.
And you've got MA TESOL. Then those skills, those 2 qualifications might help you get teaching jobs.
Yeah.
In the
I
UK,
think
outside the UK.
I think in Tea Leaf, I think Matthew, you have once shared about the certificate diploma in TESOL Delta and ME, right? So maybe you can recommend that. I think it's more intensive there.
Yeah. So you could go back to Tea Leaf English podcast, and I've got 3 episodes coming up for working in Thailand and Malaysia as well. So you can subscribe and not subscribe. You can follow or something like that to get those episodes, which I will post later this week. So I've got 3 more episodes for working in other countries as well. So if you want to listen.
METSOL degree, in METSOL degree, if you haven't got, for example, like me, I haven't got CELTA or other what is this Trinity certificate, so it means so METSOL is mostly about theories, and we've got doing practical tasks, but it's not about teaching. So if you are more interested in teaching in maybe language schools, it's practical to have a CELTA similar certificate in teaching fast to get a teaching. But for METSOL degree, so there are different types of courses. So it is not a kind of teaching qualification. So you might need to consider that too. But for some METSOL degree, they've got practical teaching modules. So that might also be useful if you are planning to have a METSOL degree. So you might need to brush through the degree you want to explore and the courses they offer. Because, for example, if you're more interested in EAP, in teaching English for academic purposes, so they have got modules specializing in academic purposes module. So it also depends on the modules you choose in your master degree.
Yes, I agree. Now, QTS is qualified teacher status. Say you do PGCE, yeah, imagine you do PGCE. So you get postgraduate certificate in education certificate. Then you need plus QTS. To get QTS, you have to go through the rigorous process, getting assessed, observations, yeah?
Yeah.
Then PGCE plus QTS, you can get a job. You have PGCE without QTS, you may not be able to apply.
Yeah.
Depending on the school. So
QTS is not a certificate, right? It's a status. So to work in schools, especially secondary school or primary school, we need QTS. But if you got a PGCE, it doesn't mean you are a qualified teacher. But some school accept if you got a PGCE, and we can work for 4 years without QTS as an unqualified teachers. But if you so while we are working, so we have 4 years to get a QTS. If we have got the appropriate certificate like PGCE, then it will be okay to start to work without being a qualified teachers.
Yeah. That was very useful. What you can do, if you can, is maybe attend IATEFL or conferences in the UK.
Yeah.
So come to the UK or even online conference, attend conferences that are offered. Then you get some networks or connection. Or maybe if you want to, you should consider putting a proposal to speak even. So if you want to do the CELTA, yes, do the CELTA. You've got an MAT, so that's great. So maybe make your profile stand out a little bit as well that you can do now. One thing you can do now is have a profile. So to do that, speak at the conferences, apply for the proposal, write something like a publication. Then if your name is out there, yeah, so even though it is still challenging to get the visa, if you get networks and connections, then there might be more possible ways.
Yeah.
That would be right now, that would be my suggestion.
Yeah. I think, I agree with Matthew's suggestion. I think it's not impossible. It's possible, right? But it might take time. So building our profile and doing more qualifications and then getting networks, especially in terms of EAP. So if you could do that, I think yeah, you will be able to manage to get that job.
Yeah.
So
that would be our suggestion.
Yeah.
Yes. So I say attend the webinars or do some like sharing community and things like that. And think about your passion as well. What do you want to? What are you interested in talking about?
And I think if you're interested in EAP, I think so it might also be useful to know about EAP qualifications, right? There are some organizations in the UK that so they have also got their own framework. So if you know more about them, I think it will be helpful, right?
So BALEAP is one of the organizations called BALEAP for EAP professional. And then another thing is called TEAP online courses. So a lot of universities offer the teaching English for academic purposes courses as well. But now for those one, you should be already working as well. So maybe if you're already working for the university, if you can get a funding from your university.
So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for joining today's question and answer session.